Hey, it's JJ Virgin, and welcome to the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show, where I give you the latest cutting-edge intel to help you look, feel, and think better. Now, today's show is going to help you think better, but it's also going to help you look and feel better because it's all about the brain. I got my longtime buddy, Dr. Stephen Masley. He is a medical doctor, a chef, and a certified nutrition specialist, and also the #1 all-time health show on public television. And literally, honestly, the best chef ever. Whenever he invites me over for dinner, I'm like, game on, I'm there. You may know him already, of course, from public television. He had the 30-Day Heart Tune-Up, hit it out of the park, and a fabulous book, best-selling book. He's had a couple best-selling books out there. Also on the Discovery Channel with 10 Years Younger. And now he's gone into the brain with the Better Brain Solution. He's going to be talking about how you can really find out if you are at risk for losing it. And he's got a great quiz to help you with that. I'm just going to shout out right now how to get there, jjvirgin.com/brain quiz. That's easy enough, right? And with that, I'm going to bring on Dr. Stephen Masley. All righty, let's do it, Dr. Stephen Masley. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here with me today.
I'm delighted to be here too, JJ.
Well, this is one that, God, touches every single one of us. Of course, I have a son with a traumatic brain injury, so I've been touched more than others. But any of us, over the age of 40, end up like walking into a room and going, what the heck am I doing here? And why did I walk into this room? And then we start to go, am I losing it? I think I'm not alone, I hope, in feeling that way. So I'm super excited to be talking about brain health with you today. And I love the direction you're taking with your new book, The Better Brain Solution, which everybody is going to want to grab. So let's dive in. First off, we've known each other now, 15 years? Long
15
time.
years.
15 years. And you are, for everybody listening, if you ever are so fortunate to get the opportunity to go have Dr. Stephen Masley cook dinner for you, man, take him up on it. He's an amazing chef. I don't think there's many medical doctors, chefs, and certified clinical nutritionists around, but you're one, and that's how we first met, taking a certified nutrition specialist test. But I love this direction you're taking now. What happened here? Because you were really working a lot in heart. Your first big PBS show was, wasn't it called the 30-Day Heart Tune-Up? Something like that?
Yes.
Yes. So now you're doing brain. What's going on?
Well, really, in my clinic, we assess how people are aging. We look at, are they growing plaque? We look at how is their brain functioning, and we compare that with their nutrition, their fitness, their lab results. So we do 100 measures of aging, and my average patient is improving their brain speed. Every year, their brain gets better. We're preventing memory loss, and their plaque is shrinking. So really, the same and this shouldn't be too big a surprise because you get it. The body's interlinked. It's connected like a web. So the same program that's good for your heart, it's also really good for your brain. Our average patient improves their brain performance by 25%. And I'd like to help more people have a better brain.
And you know what's cool about that? This is a time when people tend to be losing it. Their brain's not getting better. It's not speeding up, I mean, like, you just don't hear that when someone's 40 or 50 plus. You hear just the opposite. So that is super encouraging. I'm sure everybody's jumping up and down as they're hearing this. So let's dig in on memory loss, since I kind of walked into that at first. Like, I think all of us have walked into a room and gone, what did I walk back in here to get? And so what are those early signs of dementia?
Brain fog, forgetting names and phone numbers, losing your keys, your glasses, your phone, having to reread passages, having a to-do list at a meeting and you forget some of the things on your list, mixing up your children's names. I mean, there's a lot of symptoms, and it's really scary because more and more people today have declining brain function and brain health. And I think we have to turn this around.
Yeah, when Grant had a traumatic brain injury, I saw firsthand what this really can do with you. And that's the extreme. But my gosh, just, as you start to not be able to remember things as well, it impacts everything. And it's scary. So you mentioned already diet and exercise, but, what are some of the things that you're seeing out there that are the big, I always like to say the little hinges that swing the big doors, but the needle movers here for improving brain health?
Well, I think there's research from several studies is showing this, but we've clearly seen this from our program in our clinic as well. Food, key nutrients, fitness, stress management, and avoiding toxins. There's there's 5 key steps we can take. And when we follow those together, we get a dramatic improvement in results. So that combination of factors is really critical to improving brain function and preventing memory loss.
And that's a key thing because I know, I always like to start with food because I'm always amazed at how quickly that can shift things. But it's really probably that when you do that combination of food, nutrients, stress management techniques, detoxing and getting toxins out, and fitness, that is probably an exponential impact, right?
It is. I mean, absolutely. It's really dramatic. I think the problem with studies is they'll look at one thing at a time, like one tree in the forest, and they don't see much difference from that. So they say it doesn't work. But the problem is we need to combine these together to really, if we want dramatic improvement, we need to put these steps together.
Well, I always like to start with food. So I'd love to talk about food in 2 ways, like what are the top foods that help with your brain health? And then, of course, the worst of the worst. So let's start with what's the best.
Well, you won't be surprised by this. And we eat together at meetings quite often. So here's the good news. These are some of the foods you really like. So I'll give you 3 groups. Brain protecting pigment foods like green leafy vegetables. Here's a really cool fact. If you eat 1 cup of greens every day, your brain is 11 years younger than someone who doesn't. 11 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then other colorful vegetables, beets in particular, improve blood supply to the brain and brain perfusion. But, the other foods that we like are like berries and cherries and cocoa and dark chocolate. So those are like pigments and foods that protect our brain and increase brain performance.
All right, so dark chocolate covered strawberries.
And then second group would be smart fats. Again, no surprise, our brain is mostly fat and it's 40% fish oil by weight. So extra virgin olive oil, nuts, omega-3 rich seafood, avocados. I mean, these are really good fats for our brain. And actually the data is really strong when it comes to smart fats, that when you add 1 or 2 tables of extra virgin olive oil, 1 or 2 handfuls of nuts, a serving of seafood, and you do that regularly, you improve your brain performance and you slow cognitive decline.
I'm just so glad to hear you say that because it is just again, recently, like fats are getting attacked again. I'm like, how follow the biochemistry here in the science? How could we possibly? Yes, hydrogenated oils and oxidized fats, but come on.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're totally right. We've got to break it up into smart fats and dumb fats. And probably most people are eating way too many dumb fats. So cutting back on dumb fats is a good idea, but we still want the smart ones. And my third group, I think you'll like this one too, but you only can have these in moderation, not in excess, would be green tea, coffee, and red wine. That all 3 of those in moderation, like 1, 2, definitely not more than 4 servings a day, has clear brain benefit in multiple studies.
Well, I started the day with my mycotoxin-free bulletproof beans, and I've got an ice green tea sitting on my desk right now. I actually have really cut back on my red wine, but I still, get it from our friends at Dry Farm Wines. I'm a complete fan of their wine. I don't know if you got to taste them at the wedding.
We get them in my house.
Yeah, we love that. We love shout out.
I did have them at the wedding, and I get them at home too.
We're serious about our wine over here for everybody listening. I literally had Dry Farms wines at my wedding because all of us health people, that's That's what we eat, we drink. So it's fantastic. So I love all that,
But
of course.
it's not excess. Drinking too much is clearly harmful. So no way am I saying, go out and have a bottle a day. We're talking 1, 2 glasses. That's really the benefit. Those at that level, that makes a difference.
Bell-shaped curve, everybody on the wine, on all of those things. And you just kind of slid over the dumb fats. I'm assuming some of those might come up when we talk about which foods people need to avoid.
Clearly. So foods to avoid. I think you're going to really like these too. Number 1 would be sugar, because sugar is the number 1 thing that causes accelerated brain injury, memory loss. A third of adults and half of baby boomers have insulin resistance, too much sugar in their diet, and it's killing their brains. So I'm sure you're happy to hear that. Must be music to your ears.
Yes, totally happy to hear that. And it is amazing to me still, like just those stats that just came out with now we're more obese than overweight. And I'm like, gosh, sugar, if we just lower our sugar impact, it makes such a massive shift in everything.
Absolutely. Second would be trans fats. I mean, they're toxic. I call them embalming fluid. So hydrogenated fat, trans fat, same thing. It's turning your tissues into plastic.
All right. So what does that, for someone going, all right, how would I see these in food? What are they looking out for?
Well, trans fats, hydrogenated fats, they're usually in process. You don't get them when you buy real food. That's the key. If you buy a chicken or blueberries or broccoli, there aren't any. But what we get them is in processed foods when they're trying to increase the shelf life, or in fried food. So avoid fried foods and avoid, foods that come in a box. If you read the ingredients, it says hydrogenated or trans fat. That's so they have a extended shelf life. But although they last longer on the shelf, if you eat them, it's going to shorten your life. So we definitely want to avoid them, in particular for our brains.
All right. And then what else besides the bad fat?
Whole grain flour. We grind flour into, we take a grain, we grind into flour. And I don't think people realize that sugar, white flour, and whole grain flour, like whole wheat flour, they have the same glucose, they have the same glycemic load, the same blood sugar load. We need to really cut flour out of our diets.
So happy to hear this, because it's still out there that this whole wheat bread is good for us. It's like crazy.
Well, whole wheat bread raises your blood sugar up as much as eating a bowl of sugar. I mean, yes, it has more nutrients, but considering most baby boomers and a third of adults are insulin resistant, they're like pre-diabetic, and it's killing their brains, we got to get the flour out.
All right. No more flour. You can have coconut flour, right?
Two more things we really got to avoid. 20% of people are gluten sensitive, and they absolutely have to cut it out. Gluten can cause an autoimmune reaction in the brain. So anybody with unexplained health problems has got to try going gluten-free.
Amen. I love that.
And last, I'm going to, the sweeteners, especially Splenda. It's actually chlorinated sugar, and it's chlorinating our intestinal tract and killing off all the microbiome. Where all this new research is coming out showing the microbiome is essential to our health, in particular our brain. And now they've got these compounds that just destroy our microbiome. So like antibiotics, which really harm our gut, we got to cut out the sweeteners too.
Yeah, but,
so those would be my top foods to avoid.
Wait, that Splenda has no calories. Isn't it okay?
Well,
I had to throw
it has no calories, except when you kill off your gut and the bad bacteria grow back, you actually absorb more calories from the food you eat, and you get cravings when these bad bacteria make propionic acid that causes brain cravings for sweet. Who would have thought that bad bacteria would be smart enough? I mean, this is just bacteria to produce a compound that causes cravings that makes us eat sugar.
I know. It's crazy. That's why, again, we always talk about, you got to look about, it's not about the calories, it's where they come from. And the things that are no calorie can completely change the way your body handles food. And remember, these are all, food is information here, as Dr. Jeffrey Bland says. So those artificial sweeteners, oh my gosh, they really I can't believe they're still around, especially in kids' food. It just makes me sick. So
Amen.
and I know we're talking about brain toxins too, because one of the things you talk about is avoiding toxins. I'd love to go there. And I mean, to me, artificial sweeteners are one of those toxins. What are some other toxins? And what are toxins doing to the brain?
Well, here's the probably surprise one that's having a big impact, and that's nitrosamines. Those are the chemicals they put on sandwich meats, hot dogs, bacon. They sprinkle them on to extend their shelf life. So they'll last a lot longer, but they're toxic. We know they cause insulin resistance and diabetes, and nitrosamines in studies have been shown to be neurotoxic. I mean, toxic to your brain. So they literally kill your brain cells. I mean, we can give rats and other rodents Alzheimer's immediately by feeding them nitrosamine rich food. And people are gobbling this stuff down like crazy with sandwich meats. So we need to eat, you know this, we need to eat clean protein that is grass-fed, organically fed, and without chemicals sprinkled on top of it. It needs to be clean. I think that's so important.
Well, shout out. And again, you were just at my wedding. We had Butcher Box supply all the meat. So we had pastured chicken, pastured pork, grass-fed beef, and they have all the pastured bacon without all that added to it. So you can get this healthy stuff. And by the way, it doesn't have to be more expensive. Now, of course, I look at it and I go, you can either pay it now or pay it later. So, you really can't afford to mess around with your health, but you can get great deals out there on clean food as well.
You can. And getting Alzheimer's is really expensive.
Oh, gosh.
And then pesticides. I mean, this was a surprise to me. So preparing for this Better Brain Solution book, I read 1,500 scientific articles. And I was actually, one of the things that surprised me the most that have big impact, pesticides. If you have high levels of pesticides, you're 500% more likely to get dementia than if you have low levels.
Wow.
So that comes back to, for me, two primary sources. It's the meats that are come from these processing plants, and then also it's the dirty dozen. It's not that hard to cut pesticide down by 80%. If you buy clean protein and you don't buy animal protein from a feedlot, and if you look at the dirty dozen, you buy those foods organic. I mean, and maybe coffee as well, because that gets a lot of pesticides. You do those simple things, and we could cut out 80 to 90% of pesticides in the American food supply.
And I know you just referred to it, and I'm sure it's in your book as well. Environmental Working Group, so EWG.org always has the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. And I'm sure, did you put that into the Better Brain?
Absolutely.
Okay, I figured you did. And then, of course, shout out to our brother Dave Asprey. And, those are the only beans that I have at home are all the bulletproof beans. So they are pesticide free. It is one of the most pesticide laden crops out there, and also moldy crops. So you've got to be super careful about the coffee that you drink. It can be an amazing health food, but not if it's covered with pesticides and mold. So be super careful there. Any other toxins that we should talk about?
Well, here's the other surprise one that I think a lot of people aren't aware of, and that's inorganic copper. We've gotten copper, and it helps our blood count and, white blood count and fight infections and immune function. When we get that from eating nuts and seeds and green leafies. But inorganic copper has never existed in the human diet until like the last 40 to 50 years. So one of the surprising sources that I don't know how this is legal, but they put inorganic copper in really cheap supplements, multivitamins. And that increases both cancer risk and Alzheimer's risk.
Wow.
So if you look at your you and I would never recommend these brands. I don't think I even need to mention them. But make sure when you get, if there is copper in your supplement, that it's an organic source, like some chelated amino acid source, and then it's fine. That's like eating food. But we got to avoid inorganic copper. And the other warning would be, what if you have copper pipes in your home? There's an easy solution. If you do, make sure you've got like a reverse osmosis filter in your kitchen sink, and that's the water used for drinking and for cooking. And then you don't have to worry about inorganic copper in your shower. I don't really care. But I do care if I'm cooking with that water. And that's a really significant source, especially so many water supplies have acidic water from the city nowadays. So just like what happened to Flint, Michigan could happen to us. So we need clean water. I mean, I think one of the best tasting water and the smartest source of water would be getting water that's reverse osmosis for our kitchen.
So just to go back and hit it one more time on the supplements, and this is why, honestly, like, don't buy cheap supplements. Like, do not buy cheap supplements, because you want to watch for things like the copper you just talked about. You want to watch for folic acid. You shouldn't be taking folic acid. You got to take the natural folate. Things like the manufactured vitamin E, the DL alpha tocopherol. So this is not one to play around with, and buy good, high quality supplements. Super important.
I'm in total agreement with you. I mean, there's 3 things you shouldn't buy cheap: parachutes, tattoos, and supplements.
That's a good one. One of these days, maybe I'll do that parachute thing. So I know that you put together a quiz, an assessment, because one of the things that I'd love to have people be able to do is go, all right, how do you self-identify if you are at risk? So talk us through what you put together. And just for everybody listening, we put it at jjvirgin.com/brain quiz. And of course, we'll be in the notes as well, but you can go to jjvirgin.com/brain quiz. And how long does this take to find out? What do they find out?
So you take the Brain Symptom Quiz, 10 quick and easy questions that look at different aspects of memory. Like, can you remember a phone number? Can't you, spatial memory, like do you lose your car in a parking lot? 10 questions, easy to take, and you get an immediate answer. It gives you a score, and it gives you an idea, how is your brain? If your brain is great, awesome, protect it. But if you're showing signs of loss, it's even extra important that you look at the Better Brain Solution for tools on how you can make your brain better and prevent loss. So I love the idea of offering a quick and easy free quiz so you can assess your brain.
Hey, and here's the thing. I mean, whether you score off the charts great on the quiz or not, like, this is, I mean, if you score poorly, hey, time to fix things. But also, I want to remind everybody, you want to do this now and make sure that you've incorporated in the eating, the key nutrients, the fitness, the stress reduction, which is huge. Man, does stress mess up your brain. And avoiding toxins, because you don't want to try to unscramble the egg. It's so much easier just to, take care of it from the start, right?
It is really hard to try to bring back a brain. The problem is, if we injure our brain, it's shrinking. I mean, once your brain is shrunk, it's kind of late to do a lot about that. I mean, it's so much easier to prevent it. And who wouldn't like a better brain? I mean, who wouldn't like to be sharper, quicker, more productive, less forgetful? I think everybody should have a better brain.
Sold. So I want to throw one other thing at you, Stephen. What's one thing you do every day that you feel like makes the biggest difference in your life?
Oh, wow. That's a really hard one. I feel loved. I do feel loved. I feel supported. I feel loved. And that, I think, helps manage my stress. It helps me make better choices, helps me decide to get up and go work out because I'm worth it.
Hey, that's a huge one. And by the way, just for everybody listening, Stephen has like the best wife ever. So I always judge someone by their the spouse they choose, and he chose a great one. So bonus points for that one.
Well,
there.
You get your pretty nice bonus points for your recent hubby, too.
Oh, I did well, too. So it is a big one, though. I was just reading another loneliness study came out, but they've correlated loneliness, being lonely, to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So being with a great partner, I was looking at Dan Buettner's latest work on happiness, and that's one of the key pieces of happiness is being supportive by a great partner. So definitely important in there. Now, I know we're up against the clock, so I just want to remind everybody, jjvirgin.com/brain quiz, so you can take that to see where you're at and what kind of action you need to take right away. And Stephen, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Super appreciate you. Now, after the break, I'll be answering a listener's questions, so stay with me.
Want a better quality of sleep while also calming your brain? Now there's a great tasting way to do it. JJ Virgin's lemon-flavored sleep candy contains amino acids and nutrients to help you naturally fall asleep with ease. This gluten-free, non-GMO, dairy-free sleep assistant also helps you stay asleep so you feel rejuvenated and more relaxed. So, if you want to get a better night's sleep, visit www.jjvirgin.com/products and try JJ's Sleep Candy.
Welcome back. This is the time where I answer a listener's question, and today's question comes from Jenna in Austin. She says, JJ, I know I should work out, but I haven't worked out for, years. Where should I get started? Jenna, thanks for being honest. Okay, so here's what I do. When I start with someone on a program, whether it's the Virgin Diet or the Sugar Impact Diet, I always have them focus first on food. I don't want to overwhelm you because I find if you're trying to do too many changes at once, because again, what we're trying to do is create a change that becomes a habit, that becomes your new lifestyle, then it's just overwhelming. And both those programs are set up to help you become your own personal health detective. And with the Virgin Diet, figure out which foods work for you and which foods don't. And with the Sugar Impact Diet, figure out really how many carbs you should have and sugar. So with exercise, though, once you've done that, the next step is exercise. And this is how I have people work it in. The reason I wanted to answer this question on this show is one of the key, most important things you can do for your brain is exercise. It increases the blood flow to the brain. It is super, super important. We talked about brain shrinking. You want your brain to expand. Exercise is the single most important thing that you can do there for it. So what I have you do first is just simply move more. Yep, walk, take the stairs, park farther away. Ideally, we should be moving like an hour a day. So that's step one. And you know what? You wear a Fitbit, a pedometer, something to start tracking it. But here's the deal with that. It doesn't count as exercise. Sorry, but in order for it to count as exercise, you have to get hot, sweaty, it should hurt a bit. So while I want you to move more, in order for it to count, the next step is once you've got that under your belt, is to start burst training. I like to say burst to blast fat. In fact, I've got a link, www.bursttoblastfat.com, that shows me using my favorite machine of all times, the Exciser, which is great because you can do it anywhere. So what's burst training? It's also called high intensity interval training. You can read about it all over the place as research. And we'll also put into the show notes, we'll put one of my blogs and that link on the exercise bursting right in the show notes, which you can pick up when you go to Brain Quiz. But first, I want you to think about this. So what high intensity interval training is, and what's so cool about this is the number one reason people don't work out is because they don't have time. You know what? Make time. But you're only going to have to make a little bit of time because this is something you can fit in fast. Second reason is they're too out of shape, they feel like, to go to the gym. Well, you can do this anywhere. So it's as simple as this. You start moving. You move easy to warm up for a couple of minutes. And then you go all out for 30 to 60 seconds. And I mean all out effort. This isn't something where you're monitoring by a heart monitor. You're using rating of perceived exertion. You feel like you can't go another second longer. That's how hard I want you to go. For 30 to 60 seconds. And then you walk it off for twice as long and repeat to accumulate 4 total minutes of bursting. So what's cool is it takes you about 12 to 15 minutes to pull this off. A little warm up, a little cool down. So let me walk you through what this would look like. You start out, you're walking. You go into a sprint for 30 to 60 seconds. You walk it off for another minute or two. You do the sprint again. You walk it off. You could do that. You can do jumping jacks. You can do high knee lifts. You can do burpees or Turkish get-ups. You can do side lunges. You can do step-ups. You can run stairs. Whatever it is that's moving your body through space that you can only do for 30 to 60 seconds, and then you're too out of breath to keep going, and then you, again, move easily to buffer that lactic acid back down for twice as long, and then repeat it. And then at the end, walk it off again and cool it down. All right, it's that simple, but it ain't easy, and it shouldn't get easier, by the way. Now, this is the gratitude portion of the show. And before I do that, if you want to submit a question, you can head over to Facebook. My page is JJ Virgin Official, or Instagram at jj.virgin. Either of those places, I am around. And if you leave a question there, we pick them up and we love to answer them. We answer them there too, and then we'll pull some for the show. Now, gratitude. One of my key things, and this is also important for lowering stress, is putting gratitude into your life every day. As I've mentioned, every morning I pull out my journal. I now do my Ziva meditation, then with my gal, Emily Fletcher. Then I pull out my journal and I write down at least 3 things I'm grateful for. And one of the things that I like to do when I am doing podcasts is show my gratitude for the awesome reviews that my whole team, we all read and super appreciate. So this one is by Clovis22111. And she says, or he says, JJ is here to change your health for the better. I stumbled upon JJ's podcast a few years back, but now I think it was actually a gift from the universe. I was looking for a source that could give me good, honest, knowledgeable information, experience, and advice without any pretense. That's exactly what JJ does. Her podcasts keep me coming back to see what new things I can learn and apply towards optimizing my health. From listening to her podcast and having read The Sugar Impact Diet and The Virgin Diet, both awesome, my health and health consciousness have improved so much. Keep doing what you do, JJ. You're inspiring and the world needs more people like you. Thank you. And I think Clovis, I think that's a gal. So thank you so much for that. Super appreciate it. And we appreciate all those reviews. So we read them all and I highlight one each week. And if you want to go leave a review, we would appreciate it. While you're there, share the show and subscribe. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I want to remind you, what I do is I pull in the best guests with great information. That only is great information if you go, all right, I'm taking action. So you know what? Today's action is go take that brain quiz right now. Go take it. jjvirgin.com/brain quiz, because it's going to tell you where you're at, and then you can take action to improve it from there. All righty. I'll see you next week. Bye.